What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight we are going to talk about everything from meteors to UKR and everything that is going around the world. We'll be right back right after this. And we have a special guest tonight talking about the solar flares that have just happened again. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Look up in the sky. Look up on the sky. Look up on the sky. Look up on the sky.
All right. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a ton to go over tonight, so if you are new here, remember that you can always go over to our website and not only get our notifications, but every single article, picture, tweet, document that we are going to show you here tonight is going to be available over there on marfooglenews.com. Now, when you go there, you'll see it is very easily organized by thumbnail. You will see tonight's thumbnail, which is Do Look Up. And then, of course, once you click on that, it will bring you to every single article, tweet, video that we're going to show you here tonight. On top of that, if we have a special guest, which we do tonight, their channel will be linked down below. Now, once you hit the yellow bar, that is web-only content. That is the stuff that is too hot for TV, too far to one direction for us to cover and stay neutral, or the stuff that people are just straight up getting knocked off for. Now, remember, we do substitute words here. That is because you don't go onto a battlefield wearing a bright orange vest. You go into a battlefield wearing camo. That's the best analogy I think I've heard ever, as far as we are in a battle right now, an information conflict, and of course you are the victim. So we are trying to get out as much information as possible while staying alive. All right, and then make sure to go down there. You'll see a whole other show. And then if you do want to support, if you are already looking at getting some of the items over on the right side, if you can, go through us. And then that way it will support you. It will support us. It will get you a discount. And again, you are supporting your favorite channel. All right, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing tonight?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So we have Wages World. He's going to be on the line very shortly here. He's got some data, another X-Flare hit. This is getting pretty insane, to be honest, and I think it's only going to get worse. I have a prediction that we're just going to keep having them until we have the big one. Again, these were flares that were directly towards Earth. There was actually, I think, 16 or 17, but 2 of them were halo, Earth-hitting flares that turn and CMEs. So we'll talk about that, and then it looks like we had another one. So we'll talk about that as well. Apple and Meta give user data or don't data to hackers who used to forged legal requests. So we have talked about all of the different tech companies that have been hit lately and have purposely given away data in some cases. It says that Apple Inc. and Meta Platforms Inc., the parent company of Book, provided customer data to hackers who masqueraded as law enforcement officials, according to 3 people with knowledge of the matter. It says that Apple and Meta provided basic subscriber details such as customers' IP addresses, phone number, and in mid-2021, in response to the forged emergency data requests. Normally, such requests are provided with a search warrant or subpoena signed by a judge. According to the People, however, such emergency requests do not require a court order. So they were able to basically pretend like they were something else and then get that information. It says Snap Inc. received a forged legal request from the same hackers, but it isn't known if the data provided data in response. It says it also not clear how many times the companies provided data in response to forged legal requests. In response to a request for comment, an Apple representative referred Bloomberg News to a section of its law enforcement guidelines. The guidelines referenced by Apple say that a supervisor for the government or law enforcement agent who has submitted the request may be contacted and asked to confirm to Apple that the emergency request was legitimate. It says we review every data request for legal sufficiency and use advanced systems to process and validate law enforcement requests and detect abuse. So, first of all, I guess I think we covered something about this probably a year and a half ago, as far as how easy it was for police and other groups to now get information off of these things. But I did not know that. I wonder how they're validating, and I bet you they're saying that they use advanced systems and all of this, but it looks like maybe they weren't, and maybe they let a few slide, and it sounded like a cop or it sounded like law enforcement, so we just did it. It says we block known compromised accounts from making requests and work with law enforcement to respond to incidents involving suspected fraudulent requests, as we have done in this case. It says Snap had no immediate comment on the case, but a spokesperson said that the company has safeguards in place to detect fraudulent requests from law enforcement. Another thing that is going around right now is there is an extreme amount of people having their information put out. If you did not know, there is a huge cyber conflict going on right now. Some say it is a straight up cyber war. And there are many parties involved. There's nation states involved. There's regular people involved. There's organized groups. Something massive is going on the cyber front. That is for sure. We know this. And anybody in those crowds knows this as well. And they're starting to talk about it. And a lot of them are actually afraid to come out about what they know because they're afraid of being punished themselves or being looked at as somebody who knows and being grilled about it. It's going up to the very highest level. The highest levels of government around the planet are being attempted to be hacked into. Now, this always happens as far as hacks and things like that, but right now it is the craziest anyone has ever seen, and it is going back and forth. There's different groups that are hacking different groups and groups. And it's insane. Almost everybody here has probably in one way or another gotten a message from their bank or their school or, Snapchat or book saying that basically their information has been compromised. A ton of people from Bank of America got a message on their official app that said that their password was compromised. And they're like, well, how is that even possible? But then no explanation for it. They're like, it just got out somehow. I guess that's what you tell them, right? So have you been affected by this? Have you personally been hacked? Have you had a notice that has told you that your information has been compromised? Let me know in the comments down below, but otherwise, just a piece of advice, always change everything all the time. That is the best advice to have. And then Laura Reed, I hope that's not the Laura I think it is, with a super chat. Thank you so much for your support, but I really hope you don't do that. That's awesome, and thank you. I appreciate your support, and I love you guys, but you don't have to do that. And thank you, and thank you. Hi, by the way, say hi to Dave. I appreciate you guys. I really do. Love you guys. And then I had a nice time talking with you and nice time seeing you. And then Kiwi Lass, GAS in the West will be worthless soon as we are moving away from it. As far as gas goes, yes, it will be. And as far as fuel, it's no fun. By the way, Kiwi, I missed you last show. Thank you so much for being the last one out. So, and then we have an NASA, never a straight answer astronaut, and 2 Russian cosmonauts begin their 4-hour journey back to Earth from the ISS. So this is a follow-up. We've, of course, covered when they were talking, Russia was talking about not bringing back the cosmonaut with them as a joke, or it was somewhat serious, and then they kind of pretended like they had a debate about it and said, well, we are going to bring them back because the cosmonauts over there brought the American up there. They were joking like they were going to leave the guy on the ISS. It says NASA astronaut and 2 Russian cosmonauts began their 4-hour journey back to Earth from the ISS as the U.S. Space Agency claims that the trio are working professionally together without tension. I would think if they've been up there that long that they're not worried about the politics down on the ground. It says that the astronaut Mark Van de Heij has started his 4-hour return journey back to Earth from the ISS alongside 2 cosmonauts from the Bear Country. And it says despite ongoing tensions with the Bear Country over its invasion of UKR, NASA has claimed that the trio are working professionally together without tension. Van de Heij and Pyotr Dubov have spent a total of 359 days on the orbiting observatory after blasting off to space on April 5th last year. The pair, along with cosmonaut Anton Shikorov, undocked from the ISS on board a Russian Suez capsule at 3:21 and are set on to land. And I believe they've already landed. I think they've...
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they landed about 3 hours ago or something like that. The landing zone lies roughly 250 miles to the northeast of the space launch facility in Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. So I wonder if he's going to be watched to leave him out there, though. We'll talk in a second here. We're going to talk about Missile Row. Some of you by Cape Canaveral actually know what Missile Row is, but for a long time, most of it has been kind of a ghost town and abandoned. We're going to talk about how that is actually coming back to life, and now they're going to start using it again very suspiciously. I say I'm suspicious of it because all of a sudden private companies are going to be using it for rocket launches. Kind of makes you think, like, are these private companies coming up with ways to get off of Earth for the elites? Cannibal coronal mass ejection will hit Earth tonight. The dazzling northern lights could light up the skies as far as south as northern United States after the detection of 17 solar eruptions blasting from a single sunspot, 2 of which are headed straight to Earth. So we covered this on our shorter video over on news, but we actually have Wages on the phone tonight, and we're going to have him come in and talk about this. Before we get started, though, and especially around this topic, I highly recommend going and checking out EMP Shield. There is a way to protect against these things, and our group has known about this for a long time. There is an actual official device that you can use to protect your cars from EMP, from CME, and your house, your generators, your solar generators, any kind of device that you want to keep running after a CME or, of course, an EMP. Then you would want to have an EMP shield on it. This is the same company that has not only been contracted with agencies like DOD and DHS, but this is also a family-owned, veteran-owned, all-American-made product, again, that has been with us since before all of those contracts began. They are an absolute amazing company. Anyone who has ever dealt with them knows this. They are fantastic. They are part of our community. They are most of them preppers, and some of them YouTubers as well. So make sure to go check them out. They make an amazing product that really I don't think anything comes close. It actually protects against solar flares, Carrington level event style and up, and all 3 phases of an EMP. Marfugglenews.com/EMP. This is something that is growing by the day since we are now in solar cycle 25. I don't really have to tell many of you why you need this protection. All right, and then Dex, let's get Wages on. It looks like Wages is going to be talking about the cannibal coronal mass ejection and then many others. I mean, this is, I think, 3 or 4 now.
Yeah, it's been a lot, Adam. We've got Wages live, and I've got a link for you for some images he's given us.
Okay, perfect. So I'll load the images here, and then we'll get Wages online. All right, and then it looks.
I'm here.
Okay, so wages, is it 3 or 4? Is this the
Well,
third or the fourth?
We got. Well, it's the fourth, but it's the three of them are headed our direction.
So it is the fourth.
That's what's kind of crazy. The whole sun.
I'm kind of in disbelief how this is going. Okay, so I'm going to be loading some images here, and it looks like we have several to go over. So the first one, wages 1. What are we looking at here? Is this a image of the last X flare?
Yeah, image 1. That is not the X flare. That is I run it from the beginning to the end. So you're looking at the 2 M flares is what you're, or that that right there. I'm sorry, wrong image. That right there is the X flare. Sorry. Yeah, you got the 131 angstrom. That is the SDO satellite that sits out in front of Earth, and it's always looking at the sun. And they just put different filters on it so we can see different colors of gas. And, they can make that any color they wanted. They just chose that color of green. But that is that X flare, and that it's very substantial. That is this is kind of what we've been talking about for a while. We talk about the double hits and we talk about whatever we talk about, and stuff is starting to happen. And, not that it's like unexpected or anything like that, but it is definitely very significant stuff that we're seeing right now. As I'm talking to you, I got my computer in front of me, and they're updating stuff like every 30 seconds right now. We're now in a geomagnetic storm that just happened. It's starting to hit right now, and that's the first CME is. So, and when that X flare happened, within 8 minutes, and I talked about this yesterday, that the X-rays got here and it caused a radio blackout. And we're not talking like just small level stuff here. We're talking complete blackout for an hour. That happened. And I want to say something here too about that. You remember last year when we had these CMEs, a couple of them coming in, and that happened right over top of some of our hurricanes that were developing. You remember what happened with that?
Yes, I do.
They immediately intensified. And if you look at our weather today, the big, tornado outbreaks and stuff, that was predicted, but it happened. And then we have this X flare right when all that stuff started today. And it hit just about right there. So the sun has a very much influence on our everyday weather. It's something that we all can look at, and that's something when it's all tangible, we can all look around, and it helps people understand, I think, that yes, things are happening, and we're going to start seeing physical effects from this stuff.
By the way, at the same time that this was hitting, we're beginning to hit. I was actually on TikTok watching this weather guy. Somebody turned me onto this TikTok weather guy, and he was talking about how this tornado essentially kind of just popped up out of nowhere. And I was looking at it. He shows the radar and he shows all this cool stuff, and he's a live TikToker. So he's not one of those 60-second ones. He's live, and he shows you it. And he even made a comment about how he's like, this is just so weird. He saw certain parts of it just formed out of nowhere. I really do think that, somebody like Suspicious Observers and the other people that have been saying this for years, that a lot of these really bad events have been related, of course, to solar events. Do you think that that's true, or do you think that that's something crazy?
Oh, no, that's 100% true. And I think that we can even take it even a step further than just speculation. There's so many studies now done and so many big name scientists coming out. I mean, we have something called the global circuit. And, when we connect to certain things coming from the sun, it really will. We'll see it pretty close. And I know you got that next image up there. That's the one on the bottom is the first M flare that with the CME. And then we had like 10 smaller M flares. And then we had a bigger M flare, which caused number 2 there. And those are the ones I think I showed you guys those yesterday, maybe a different imaging. I can't remember. But if you go to the next image, I'll be able to explain what we're looking at as far as that goes.
Wow.
Just let me know when you get there, so I don't.
Yeah, we're on 3 and 4.
Are you? You're on 3 and 4. Okay, yeah. So if you look at number 3, now I'm going to address this for a second because this is a backside eruption. So we're looking at the sun from the side. This is stereo A. You guys can see where Earth is at. 4 is the X flare. So if you want to compare like just overall size, now that's not going to speak to the power of it. Okay, I have to clarify that. Sometimes even like if you're looking at 4 there, if it's more compact and we take a direct hit from it, that means that the density will be higher and it'll be a lot more powerful. But again, when we got kind of a little bit, I guess, lucky, if you want to use those words, that the sunspot that's been producing all these flares coming at us is starting to go onto the side of the sun now. It's rotating through, but it's still in front of us, but it's not directly like it was 2 days ago. So what you're looking at there in 4, I think if you look at that, you can kind of picture in your mind that it's really kind of going at an angle. We're not going to, like, we may get hit depending on how the angle that it came off the sun. And the NASA model, and I couldn't access that photo right now for some reason, but they're having issues, I think, because of what's going on, to be honest with you. It happens a lot. But the NASA model is showing that this X flare that produced this CME, that it's coming right at us just like these other 2 that are hitting now. So we're going to get hit again, and it's only going to be 2 days from now. How long this geomagnetic activity hangs around, and what you got there is the NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center site.
Well,
and you can see their forecasting.
Just to stop you for a second, I think many people here have a really bad feeling about this. It seems like this is picking up an unbelievable amount, and for many people that don't know anything about this and just kind of stepped into it, you might not know, but we've been following this, and there was all of this chatter about of this picking up and that this cycle would be the most insane. And we talked about this all the way back into 2016 and 2017, and now that it's happening, it's like we're now here, and it's like one after another, and sunspots are going nuts, and they're coming. The scientists are now looking at things and saying, we've never seen this before. So this may be something that modern civilization has not seen. This cycle may do things that we've never seen before. And maybe they predicted this a few years back when T-Man immediately signed an executive order to harden our grid. Maybe it wasn't for NK and the I country and the bear and the dragon in the east. Maybe it was because of the sun. Maybe they are more worried about that than any nation state. So again, continue on what this is.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on a lot of good points there, Marf. There's so many things to unpack on all that, and like you said, those of us that have been here for a while in this community, we've been looking at this, and you're right. There wasn't a whole lot of people at the beginning of this cycle, which most people that have been here for a minute will remember, that there was only a couple big name scientists that came out and said, hey, listen, guys, this thing, we think it's going to be bigger. It's going to be more active. And I think what you're seeing is the manifestation of that. And it's being backed up by the data. So there's no questioning whether or not this is actually happening. If this is more active or not, it definitely most certainly is more activity. It's just on the pure sunspot numbers that we see, we have not come in on their forecasted line. We've been above every show, every thing that we look at, everything is above what they would forecast as normal, what they would going to be expecting. So, that's significant. And the one that blew off the backside, guys, I have to say that one looked fairly large, and it blew off with some speed. And there are ways for us to look at that. They use seismic activity on the sun, and they can tell where those sunspots are, and they're getting better at it. And why I point that out, guys, is the fact that that sunspot that produced that will be rotating on our side within a week. there's already another big sunspot in the southern hemisphere of the sun right now. And if it starts having friends start playing with it, it's going to start shooting at us too. And something else, that now the protons from this X flare that we just had is starting to come into our system, and our proton flux is starting to rise. And I was looking at the NOAA forecasting model. They're saying it's like a 75% chance of getting into another radiation storm. So that could possibly happen. And you know, all this stuff is happening at once. And, you know, so I do think we're going to see those kinds of effects. One thing that you can expect is definitely you're going to see aurora just explode. There's probably going to be people in what we call mid latitudes. You know, when you talk high latitude, that means you're going closer to the poles. If you talk mid latitude, you're probably talking like Colorado, Idaho, those kinds of places. You're going to start seeing aurora down that far. And to put that in a little perspective, with the Carrington event, one of the massive events that we had, you know, back in 1859, they had aurora at the equator. So, you know, this does happen. And something else, you know, this is the second X flare already of this cycle that came our direction. And if I look at the data the right way, we don't usually see it this early, that many. You know, at least X flare strength. And we can't forget, you know, our magnetic field is weakening. That is a fact also. There is no question. It just is. You know, there's a whole lot of reasons behind that, and that takes a whole nother conversation. But the fact of the matter is, magnetic field weakening, this stuff hits our magnetic field, which is our shields against everything. And when you have a cannibal CME like you talked about on your other show tonight, you know, I have to clarify that it didn't just like merge in. That doesn't happen. They get close to each other, but they never completely merge. So what you get is you'll get two shock waves there. You'll get the initial one, and then you'll get one behind it. And usually that second one is the harder hit, even if it's weaker. Because what happens is our magnetic field's trying to recover, and it doesn't have time. So that's why the cannibal CMEs get talked about quite a bit, and that's why we take them so serious. Because it does look, if you look at the tools and the models, it looks like it eats that other CME up because it's moving faster. It catches up to the one in the front. But now we got this one coming, and it's going to be probably a day and a half or 2 more days from now before it hits, and hopefully we'll, you know, geomagnetically, hopefully we'll calm down enough that it doesn't really, you know, take us up into some big, massive sort of geomagnetic storm levels. But we can't, you know, ignore it, is what I'm trying to say. This is something we have to pay attention to. This is something that if anybody doesn't know anything about this, you know, you've mentioned so many great channels that talk about these things. You know, Suspicious Observer, and you know, I talk about it, and there's a lot of other people that talk about this space weather in general. Samantha Sco, she talks about it, Space Weather Woman. You know, and these are all good, you know, all good places to go to get space weather, right? And that's what we're talking about. And it does have a direct effect on our meteorological weather. And, you know, there's direct points that we can draw to that. And that's what we're doing. You know, last year, like I said, with the hurricanes, that was big to me, Adam. You know, to see a direct correlation that quick is just, yeah. So, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Again, as far as the weather, like I said, we actually covered a piece. I remembered it was actually it was one of the scientific journals. It was like last year where they were comparing the solar and the weather events that had happened during that year that Mexico had the hail that was like 3 feet deep, and of course California, Las Vegas, all these different places had snow. Hawaii had snow down on the actual, you know, down not in the mountains, but in the actual mainland. It was just insane. But I wanted to point out, so the picture you provided for that massive one that went off the back of the sun, I want you to take a peek at the screen. So look at the image that you have here, and then I tried to point it out. Some people caught that, but it almost looks like a galloping horse.
Oh.
And by the way, later on we have something about. Look, check this out though. Watch the picture here. There's a pale white horse here, and then look at the image, and then I'll flip them back and forth. So watch while I do that.
All right. Oh wow, I can see it already.
You see the legs, and then the horse's head.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is kind of crazy. That is nuts. Yeah, it definitely could look. Yeah, I mean, it's funny how we pick up on that, isn't it? I mean, it is. That's
It's almost like a negative of this exact picture. Which by the way, I have a picture later on of the bathing the red horse. That's related to, of course, Vlad, and it was actually something my sister was talking about, and how that was before WW1, and that was we'll talk about that later. Just some very weird signs happening, and then the next picture that you have, the 3, that almost looks like an evil face or something, or a skull. Just very creepy. But Wages, we want to have you back on, and you have us come back on and update us on all of this. We have a lot of stuff to get through tonight, so I appreciate you coming on and you giving us your time.
Yep, no problem, guys. I love the Foogle clan. You guys know that. I mean, come on. I was here before I was on my own channel.
I know.
So, yeah.
It's really cool to say that we helped you get a start. And now you're over 50,000. That's
man. You helped me more than get a start. I have to say. I'm telling you, it's awesome. You guys have been awesome to me and to everybody here. I think everybody would agree. And I tell you, it's amazing how like-minded people find each other, and it's awesome when that happens. And I think that all of us in this community, we appreciate each other, and that's where we're at. So, but yeah.
By the way, Be Real Beast asked a great question. Says, so this is the backside of the sun. So why can't we see the dark side of the moon? You would think they would have a satellite go right past it. It's not even that far, right? Compared to where other satellites are.
Well, they actually do.
Do they have a satellite?
Go ahead. There's a lunar orbiter that always circles the sun, orbits the sun, and it actually uses laser, and it gets all the topography and stuff. You can go to Dial a Moon. If you go to Dial a Moon, you can see the images from that. But yeah, it's up there.
We'll have to.
It don't get promoted a whole lot, I guess. But yeah.
Well, thank you so much again, Wages. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the future, and hopefully with good news instead of bad. Thank you, Wages, and thank you for your time.
Man.
All right, have a good night.
Bless, man.
All right,
see you guys.
God bless
Bye-bye.
you. If you want to check out Wages World, it's very easy. WAGES World, Wages World, and his link will be on marfooglenews.com under caller info at the very bottom of the page. All right, now let's move on. I don't know why I saw that, but the more that I look at it, it's just so creepy. That looks like the double bent leg, if you know what I mean, and how this is outstretched, and this is the face here behind the 3. And the more you look at it, the more you're like, because this is massive. Look at that. That's like the whole side of the sun was that burst. Dex, pretty crazy stuff. And then we're going to be talking about Germany warns on gas supply over the payment situation with the bear country. First of all, though, Jake Albrigati, says, new to the Foogle fam from South Carolina and loving it that you guys are great. Keep up the good work, Adam, Dex, and the mods. Hey, thank you, Jake, and welcome. And seriously, I'm glad you found us, and always like finding out how you guys found us. I know that a lot of the old school Foogle fam found us because we were recommended. Now a lot of people find us through word of mouth. So I'll use that opportunity just to let you know, try to share us with at least one friend, at least one family member that is like-minded, or open-minded, I should say. No, you don't have to be on one side of the aisle or the other to be here. I really appreciate when people on both sides of the aisle can keep away from the whole, right-left paradigm thing and be able to see past that and, talk about anything and everything and not separate because of it. I know that there's some infuriating things on both sides that you see and you're just like, I can't even talk to them. They're idiots. Guess what? Both sides say that. If you can get past that and find something you do agree on, then we can all get a whole lot better. And I mean, we can move forward. Yeah, I don't think people remember like 10, 15 years ago when you said, oh, I voted for this person, I voted for that person, and then you continued your conversation. Now, people that have been friends for 45 years won't even talk to each other because of it. That, I think, is absolutely absurd, and it needs to stop. You have been trained by a system, and that is why you hate people. It's in your brain. And plus, again, part of it is the higher-ups in those different groups doing horrible things to piss you off. But the regular people that are trained by that, just remember you're both trained by this media, media system that is making you hate each other. The longer we stay divided, the longer we stay unorganized and completely distracted on everything. So, Dex, do you want to talk about the fuel situation with, of course, Germany and the bear?
Well, yeah, as we reported, obviously the bear is asking for and demanding basically unfriendly countries to pay in rubles. Well, now it's gotten so bad because they're these unfriendly countries, if you want to call them that, or at least the bear wants to call them that, like Germany, and others are not willing to do that. So it's reaching the point where it's about to be cut off if it hasn't already. And they're putting out a warning, they being Germany, basically sounding the alarm that we may have disruption in gas supplies. So they're sort of letting people know ahead of time, hey, be prepared as this may happen. So kind of a big deal. When you think about this is, this specifically in this instance, it's, heating or, for the most part, it's gas in your home. So cooking and heating and hot water, things like that, natural gas. So it is a big deal. And while you're still in the cold months, it can have, a detrimental effect to not have that. It can be detrimental not to have it any time of year, but even more so when it's cold.
And I just want to point out, this gives me the creeps because now Europe and Germany is saying, hey, we might not negotiate on this. You might be out of, we might not get that fuel that we are pretty much dependent on now. We have lots of European viewers here. So I'm just saying to you, you need to be prepared for anything, possibly have some sort of setup with a heater or something going on, electric heater or something else, and any other things that you can get by to try to get past this. By the way, this very well could be kind of an early warning for other things too. Once you get through all of the news from tonight, as far as Vlad pulling out troops out of places, pulling out of Chernobyl, it really sounds like something's about to go down. That is my opinion. I would love to hear yours. Dex, again, I want to hear yours as well on this, as far as what is going on.
Yeah, and the one thing I want to add about the whole natural gas side of the house, a big chunk of our natural gas, probably the majority of it, does come from ourselves, right? We do import it, but we don't import a ton. So it doesn't mean that we may be cut off, right? This is specifically for Germany and other European countries that get that pipeline that comes from the bear. But what we do have to pay attention to is that if they are cut off, and they demand natural gas, they're going to be pulling it from others. They'll pull it from us. If you remember, we covered a story maybe a month and a half ago, that we were sending shiploads of natural gas over to Europe because we were trying to prepare them for what they thought was going to be the shutoff. They thought it might have happened sooner. So we sent that over. And what that means is our supply will be diminished when we do that. It also means that the rest of the world will have less, and so people will start paying more for it. Believe me, Germany doesn't want to go without it, so they will pay more to bring it in. Well, that'll raise the price, and once it starts raising the price in one place, then everyone raises their price to equalize, the cost and to make it even for how much they can earn from their gas, right? So while again, it doesn't mean ours may be cut off, but it certainly means our bills will probably go really high.
And shortages and other things that are popping up. As far as Germany and Europe, another big thing here is between France, was it France and Germany, or France and the UK? There was a cutoff. The power line got cut underwater that provided 40% of the power in an area there. And it's like things like that happened right before this. And it's kind of like, and then at the same time, within 3 weeks, there was another underwater cable, another underwater device that not only served to see the underwater currents, but also saw the underwater submarines. So it would be kind of an early detection system for, the Bear submarines and things like that. That was up by Norway. That got destroyed / dragged / cut. And that was about a year after covering all of the different ways that the Bear had all of these research ships with very specialized submarines that could go down and cut the cables. Remember, we have an underwater cable and a line that connects us with Europe. If that was cut, and then satellites and GPS and everything else went down, that would be the worst case scenario as far as like what a lot of preppers think is a possible scenario. I want to say thank you to Zippy Moons. Thank you. Says, I got nothing. Thank you, Zippy Moons, and thank you. I hope you were able to stick around for this show. I know that it's later. Lisa K23 said, did anyone else have a killer headache today? I bet probably a bunch. I had a killer headache yesterday at the very end of the show. In fact, it was really bad. I meant to, by the way, the shout show, I meant to switch out, and my headache was so bad, my vision was blurry, and I ended it early, so sorry about that. And then Danvers says the real event is about to happen with the COMEX and the LBMA. And Danvers, by the way, thank you, multiple Ninja Guineas over on DLive. Thank you for keeping DLive alive. And then the Bear is going to drain physical gold by discounting oil. This will be a problem for the COMEX. So we talked about this yesterday. Any country that has gone against the petrodollar has been wiped out, or their leaders have. And then we have Lisa K. Says, I can't buy lemons. Lisa K., I don't know what's going on. I know that they've had several kind of technical issues lately, but I apologize about that. Dan Verse, the golden COMEX is hypotheticated at 40 to 1 or worse. This will ripple hard through the economy. There's a lot of things going on right now. I would love to have an expert on the financial side of a collapse on. I might even have my friend Nick on at some point. He has done a lot of research into the money collapse scenario, as far as there's a ton of kind of the end of what we know as civilization. And one of them is not so much the end of physical civilization, but the collapse of money in general, the collapse of all economies, just everything dropping out, the petrodollar dying, and that is a very terrifying scenario as well. Global Impact, thank you for stopping in, and Danvers again, thank you, and Michelle K. Gas prices so ridiculous. Yes, I know, and every my friend Dave, he just to take his wife to, she's a double lung implant recipient, and they have to drive 4 or 5 hours, hundreds of miles to go to their doctor's appointments. They have to, because of the certain doctors, and it's like they're paying absurd prices to do this once or twice or 3 times a month sometimes. I just can't imagine, especially with our vehicles that are like 7-8 miles per gallon. I mean, most people are stuck with that kind of stuff. If you have multiple kids, you are stuck with an SUV. And then we have Vlad being lied to by own advisors. I personally, this is everything that is titled like this, you should take as supposedly. I don't want to say, I'm not. I watched what's his name, Dershowitz is on Rumble, and he has a show called The Dersh Show. I didn't realize that this guy did actual like podcasts, but he was talking about how he basically believes a lot of the or believes or is passing on a lot of the stuff that's in mainstream. And he said that, all these people are supporting the bear, right? That they're on their side. And he's saying that a lot of people on the right side are supporting people in bear country. I don't think so. I think it's the fact that people are very weary of our own media. We have been lied to so many times that we can't believe anything coming out of legacy media. And we know that only a small percentage of it is real, or the real part of it is because it's planned or something else. I think that it's that we are not able to receive that country. An entire country is basically banned. Even if we were in it with the dragon over in the east, I would still want to see what Z's papers are doing, like the Global Times, the People's Daily, the Shenwan. I would want to know what they're putting out of their propaganda machine, because that is important too. There's a percentage of that would give you information that would be able to allow you to make a complete picture. It scares me that everything from the bear country is now being banned, including a lot of independent journalists that are normally, once they share a story, then they're actually in trouble with their own country and a target. So you don't even get to hear those guys, because a lot of their accounts are not able to access a lot of the rest of the world. So something to say here, I think Vlad is a horrible dude, was part of the WEC or the WEF, Young Leaders Club, all that. He's a bad dude too. He may be kicked out. He may be getting kicked out of the big boys club right now. He may have, pushed up against the secret, rulers of the planet, and now he's getting dumped out. I kind of see it as like you always see these movies of like the mafia or the mob or anything like that, and somebody makes a mistake, then they're just gone. Or any movie about the assassins, right? Assassins and their job, or somebody in the CIA. It's like they've been there for years and years and years. They know too much. Their only exit out is another agent basically taking them out, right? Think about it. Vlad was in the KGB. He probably knows too much, right? Who knows? Maybe he's being taken out, or they're attempting to, but he is amassed. Oh, by the way, we didn't cover this the other day. Musk made a comment saying that Vlad he believes he's richer than him. So he's not actually the richest person on earth, which I never believed in the first place. There are people that are so rich that you will never even see their name. They're so rich that you're not even allowed to say their name in public, because they are so private, and they have paid all of the companies to be, private, right? Vlad is said to have had hundreds of billions of dollars, possibly hundreds of billions of dollars. That is insane. As the president, that's why he has so much power. And then Vlad, they say, is being lied to. The reason I say this is they're saying they make them look weak, like they're just fumbling, like they're running around with chickens without their heads. Meanwhile, they're removing their troops. They might possibly be planning something much bigger. Dex, go ahead.
Well, Adam, I when I look at this, I sort of think if you just take all of the West side of the information and you were to read it, you would think, oh my gosh, any sane leader on the other side of that fence is going to retreat, pull back, throw in the towel, say, you're right, I lose, I'm going home, let's fix this and move on, right? So, but then you hear that that's not actually happening, right? So that sort of, I look at this and say, well, maybe this is the way they are justifying the message, is that, well, if he's going to keep acting like everything's fine, this is how we'll make you understand the way he's thinking, when it very well could, like we said, take it all with a grain of salt, but it definitely looks like something that is an excuse, right?
And by the way, I just want to point out, since you won't see it anywhere else, this place is still on Rumble. Look at some of the titles. Field hospital in Chernobyl, nuclear plant labs appear abandoned. Almost all of their titles on their end are saying the exact opposite. It basically says that they quickly abandoned, and they're like, in some of them, it's almost like trying to like make fun of former home to elites, right? RT explores abandoned UKR base. They're saying that this was home of the UKR most elite troops and everything else, and they just ran out in a scurry. They put it in a lot of their titles too. And it's funny because on our side, they're saying the exact same thing about them. One thing that kind of gets me, though, is they're showing UKR locations and live video and saying the date and time, and they're saying, here is this, and it's like there's nobody there except for them. So it's like basically both of them are saying the same thing. Only one of them can really be there and right? It's like, yeah, a lot of them. I mean, it's just incredible. They're all saying like that they ran in a hurry, or yeah, it says look inside of a seized, abandoned in a hurry, or looks inside a seized UKR Navy ship. I mean, it's just like who do we believe, right? They're saying that that he's being lied to. The struggling strong man is being lied to by his inner circle about everything from military losses to the economy, an unnamed U.S. official said, citing recently declassified intelligence. So basically saying that he doesn't even know what's going on, that he's actually losing, and he's being lied to by his inner circle, saying, hey, everything is good. Like nobody wants to be the bad news bear, and they are lying to him, saying, hey, you're doing great. This conflict is going well. By the way, and you'll also see on that side of things from their news is the actual reporters are saying this is what demilitarization looks like in this area. They are calling it that. So that's kind of their side of the ganda. They are saying that they are demilitarizing. Whatever they are really doing, we don't know. Both sides are just so nobody trusts anybody. And then BlackRock president says entitled generation now learning about shortages. Wow. Kind of for once. I mean, it says President Rob Capito warned that inflation is having dramatic effects on the economy, with an entire generation now learning what it means to suffer from shortages. Okay, I don't want to say I agree, but it is kind of scary to say that, this generation does not, especially the newest generation, the kids now, they have never seen any kind of suffering. My generation has not. I mean, not to the point where we're talking about our grandparents or their parents, the depression and that kind of shortages and that kind of real hardships, right? It says that... it says for the first time, this generation is going to go into a store and not be able to get what they want. Capito said at a conference held in Austin by the Texas Independent Producers and Royalty Owners Association. And it says, we have a very entitled generation that has never had to sacrifice. The economy is reckoning with what he dubbed scarcity inflation, or the fallout from a shortage of workers, agriculture supplies, and housing, and of oil in some regions. It says, I would put on your seatbelts because this is something that we have not seen. Okay, so this is Capito, and he is part of Rock, right? This company, by the way, owns all parts of all three of the... owns pretty much everything. By the way, this company that BlackRock, it owns a GDP that is number 3 in the world. So if just say it was a country... there would be the U.S., there would be China, and right behind that would be BlackRock. All of the other countries in the world, just say there's those 3, and then all of the other countries in the world. All of the other countries in the world combined have less than what this company has. In actual numbers, they have more money than all of the countries in the entire world besides us and the dragon. They have more money than all of those countries combined. And you don't think that this company is behind some stuff? And this guy is saying it's about buckle your seatbelts. This is why we've been telling you. It's happening. And there's going to be very little room for people that are like, oh, you're just getting people excited for nothing. We said that before CV. Before CV happened, you go back, you have dated proof. We told you the World Forum, the WH and the O, they were all talking about an event that was coming. Endemic, specific, very specific. They were working out these drills, these exercises for when it happened. We showed you that. We said this looks like they are planning for something very specific. What are they planning for now? Massive shortages, another depression, everything collapsing, hyperinflation. It's the writings on the wall, people. And there's evidence. There's actual evidence. It's not just like somebody said somewhere, or I know a guy and he doesn't want to come out in public, but he says it's going to happen. There's actual evidence. There's actual documents. There's actual numbers that go with this. And it's scary as hell. And it looks like it's on purpose, in my opinion. Dex, do you want to talk on The Rock?
Well, yeah, I don't want to say when The Rock speaks, everyone listens, but because that's E.F. Hutton. But still, I think you're spot on that, the person that's saying this, it's pretty serious, and not necessarily like somebody we would want to look up to, but the message and who it's coming from is probably in the know or in the plan, so to speak, right? So, this is a big deal. Now, I did have a question in here, and this is what sort of baffles my mind, is he talks about the scarcity of employment, or workers, I should say, shortage of workers. But that shortage of workers should be long gone by now, right? I mean, the CV stuff is sort of, not over, but it's not like everyone's necessarily sitting at home not going to work. Work is up, employment is up. So it's kind of interesting that he's calling that out, unless there really is something there, statistics there that we're not actually getting from the bigger picture that's saying, why do we have a shortage? Is there a shortage for other reasons that we're just not aware of, or they haven't told us about yet, that they're just sort of trying to put under the umbrella of, the prior demic?
There is definitely, and by the way, before this all happened, that company bought stock, and they are the largest shareholders in all three of them and another company. And by the way, New York-based $10 trillion, that's what they say that they have in assets, $10 trillion. Absolutely insane. That Gen X dude says, told you so moments in history. Told you so moments in history. Buckle up, buttercups. We warned you. We told you. Be safe, be prepared, one love, good vibes. I mean, essentially, I hate to say it, but it is a told you so. And I hope that new people going into it, like Jake, Albrigati, and new people, understand that you can go back and see there were weird patterns, there were weird signs in mainstream media. That's why we pointed out. It's like there's lots of things that are just kind of put out there right in the open.
And the other thing, Adam, that is an obvious thing that we should be paying attention to is the land grab that's going on. Okay, whether it's from this company or people like the former software guy in your neck of the woods, Gilly Bates, buying up farmland. It's not just about the farmland, while that's one aspect of it. Pay attention to the fact that everyone is buying up property. Okay, and when I say everyone, I don't mean mom and pops. I don't mean you and me. I mean the people with the money, the hedge funds, the people with the millions and billions and trillions of dollars at play. They're buying up as much property, and they're doing that because they know something's coming, and that owning real estate is one way to hedge against that. It doesn't mean they're going to make money off of it. It just means they're going to lose a lot less, right? They're going to lose, but they're going to lose a lot less, or potentially stay safe. So the more land they grab, and that's why, I don't know, many of you out there who may be a homeowner, you probably get phone calls from these people trying to buy your house. I mean, it is crazy the number of hedge funds out there that are trying to buy up homes, land, any piece of real estate they can get. That should be a big red flag to tell you that the people who have the money and have the power and understand what's going on are worried about what's coming.
Because I don't know if even owning lands will kind of protect you from what's really coming. But it will probably be a lot safer than many other things. Kiwi Lass says NZ, Zealand's only oil refinery, is shutting down this month. That is incredibly crazy. Like, we are in just a couple years, they say that they're going to be completely electric and all of this, and they're going to, ban electric cars by this year, or at least have it to where only these are made. How do you do that without completely collapsing the petrodollar? If the world is run on a petrodollar, when petrol is not going to be used in a short few years, according to them, what the hell has to happen? Irish Rebel says, I'm pretty sure a former leader of the KGB knows everything that's going on. Irish, you may be right. Thank you for your massive support. Irish, you don't have to do that. Thank you so much, and thank you for supporting Independent. Soviet Seth Trollins, thank you for subscribing. Nolyurt, thank you for subscribing. Everybody that just joined, welcome to the Marfia. Welcome to the Foogle fam. Welcome in. I'm super happy. And then, as you guys know in chat, make sure to welcome everybody that you see that's new. Ask them how their day's going. Tell them they're welcome here. And then over on D Live, Zippy Moons popped in again. Says, someone mentioned headaches. I've had mad ear ringing. Praying for especially Gone Girl. Hey, thank you, Zippy Moons. Appreciate you and love you. Just Bear, Renegade, PD, Lady 26, Michelle K. Gas price is so ridiculous. Again, I do agree with you. Enough to read it twice. Mindy's mom, and of course, Global. Thank you, and it's just me. All right, and then before we move on to fighter jets that violated Swedish airspace earlier this month were equipped with nukes, I do want to remind you, if you have not already, this is, as far as hyperinflation and everything else, our future is very uncertain. There is a very big case to get long-term survival food. For many of you, I don't need to tell you why. In fact, many of you want to do this. They just don't have the ability to do so yet. I would say this is the way to get long-term survival and of course, long-term survival food that is packaged to last years and years and years. This link takes you to Patriot Supply, which essentially has everything from long-term, short-term survival food, MREs, survival gear, books, lanterns, any kind of medical stuff that you would need, gadgets, power banks, everything you can imagine is there at marfooglenews.com/prep. But I don't have to explain to you why. If you do not have the ability to get the long-term survival food, understand that it may be worth your while, because as far as the prices of everything going up, it may be good to invest in food now that later on it may be cheaper than the food, the same food in the stores. And you'll be able to crack this open instead of going to the store to get a $40 can of beans. Who knows? That's an extreme case, but we saw it in certain countries like, Venezuela and others. And the most important thing on there, I believe, is the water filtration system. If you haven't checked out Alexa Pure systems, they essentially are a great system. They are affordable, and they do the job better than I've seen a lot of the other products out there do. So again, make sure to go check it out, marfooglenews.com/prep. Right now, if you get a 3-month supply of food, you can get $150 off. If you don't have the ability to do this, though, make sure to be grabbing an extra can of food when you go to the store. Grab an extra gallon of water. Make sure to do this almost every time you go. If you can even spend $1, $2, $3, $5 every single time you go, and then stash that aside like you would do a savings account, try to do that. It's a lot easier than saving money as far as getting an extra water gallon and just putting it away. Getting an extra can of food and putting it away. It's a lot easier than a lot of other stuff. Kind of like those programs that save the extra change when you buy something. It will throw the change in a savings account. Same thing with that. Grab 4 cans of chili, put one of the cans away. Leon Rosner, thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, and then Dex, this is a crazy thought because it's a fighter jet actually equipped with anything. If anything would have happened, if they did end up having kind of an altercation, they were actually equipped with nukes. And this was recent. Were they doing a practice run with an actual nuke strapped on or multiple nukes? What do you think?
Well, anytime we hear about these, in this case, the Bears planes, flying over, a lot of times we just sort of, brush it off. Oh, okay, yeah, we intercept, we push them away. But in this time, they violated the airspace. They didn't just come close, right? And then even more so, not only did they violate it, and they weren't just running air missions. They were running it with, potentially live weapons on it that were, of nuclear capability. So that's kind of a big deal, at least in the state of the world today, right? It's it might have been brushed off 2 years ago, and everybody would have said, well, they shouldn't have done that, no big deal. But the way things are right now, it just seems like doing something like that is definitely going to draw a lot of attention that you probably don't need at this state, because you're basically throwing a match towards the gasoline.
Well, imagine this. If you were the country that they're violating and they say, okay, their planes are in airspace, okay, and then someone confirms, okay, their planes have nukes on them, you would think that would almost be grounds to take them down right then. Like, what if they just kept going and launched it? Think about this. If a nuke is heading towards, so if they detect a launch and it's coming towards their country, they're going to end up after a certain distance, or once they launch, they've detected it, they know where it's going to hit, they're going to then respond. What would be the technical difference if a plane with a full-on nuke is heading over and it gets over and it's in the airspace and it's now closer? How do they know the difference, right? It's only because they probably didn't know at the time that there was a nuke on that plane. If this is true, right? But if that plane goes over and violates the airspace, goes in, and still has that nuke, what's to say in their mind at that moment they're like, okay, they're about to come nuke us. They are in our, just minus the plane, there's a nuke. Just say if it was a Wonder Woman plane and it was invisible, all you would see is this nuke coming right towards their country. I mean, this could have warranted a response if they knew. U.S. sends 100 drones called Switchblades to UKR. We've covered all of the drone technology and everything that we have seen going into UKR, and we've also covered it over the last couple of years as far as all of the companies like Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman that are making these things. This is some pretty incredible, crazy tech. It says the U.S. included 100 drones, and bad ones, in a colossal weapons package for UKR that President JB approved earlier this month, U.S. officials confirmed Wednesday. Assistant Secretary for Defense International Security Affairs told lawmakers that Kiev asked for the weapons, which are dubbed kamikaze drones, as it fights off the bear invasion. We have committed 100 Switchblade tactical unmanned aerial systems to be delivered in the most recent package of presidential drawdown. It says we heard the UKRs and we take that request very seriously. So they sent these things, and we'll see where and if they end up using them, and if they've already used them already. And then the UKR situation report, the build-up underway at Chernobyl nuclear plant. It says UKR officials have warned about the potential risk from stockpiling ammunition at the Chernobyl site. It says the UK military says that the forces are massing at the site of the now defunct Chernobyl nuclear plant, despite some apparent withdrawals elsewhere in the northeastern part. So, by the way, Dex, I have actually seen both. I've seen them saying that they're leaving it, and now, and specifically Chernobyl. I know that there's a lot of things saying that they're withdrawing from different places. Now this is saying that they're massing. Can you see if we can find the one that says that maybe it's on their side? We might not be able to show it.
Yeah, it was on their side, but I think there's two ways to look at it. One, they're massing in that location. Is there a reason? Or two, they're massing in that location because it's the route out through Belarus, right? So depends on which side you look at and how this actually plays out. But this is the story that's being reported, at least on the west side, and I think this is coming from the conflict zone, which is usually a decent reporting outfit, even though they can only report what they're given. So,
by the way, on a previous episode of Marfoogle News, you will actually see that there was a water bridge, and this was before the first day of the so-called invasion, and we showed you this water bridge that was put in place in Belarus, and it was going over to Chernobyl. Now they're massing back at that area. They say they're withdrawing from all these other places. Are they amassing because they are then regrouping and then going over that bridge and then getting out of there before they send a tactical NUKE or something else? Is this a sign of something to come? That is my question to you. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. They again say, oh, by the way, and on the Bear side, their official news agencies are saying that they are leaving it and whatever else. We don't know what's really true here. I don't think that this is going to be over in a month and a half. I think that this is part of a massive play to collapse the planet or to collapse the petrodollar. Don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Say the movement who killed 5 was a West Bank. The Is police on Wednesday said that the attacker used an assault rifle to methodically down victims with a motorcycle in a central Is city was a. Now, remember, we said we would pay attention to this area because there was some pretty high up people and our groups that were military groups saying. In fact, we had Dex. I don't know if we can. We can probably mention that the messages we got, right, but not the details.
Yeah, probably
the middle E popping off. When you saw this, you thought too, like Fantastic Freddy, and it would actually we'd be all looking over here and popping off over there.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing that came to mind. There's also a holy time that's about to start, and this is the third event that's happened leading into that. So it's probably also something that we need to pay attention to because it's I would expect, given what's going on, that it's going to escalate. It's not uncommon for it to escalate during that period of time. But to see three events back to back, in the Is country, knowing the tension right now, especially over the nuke deal with the Iran to the store country, and what's happening there and the conflict between those two. I know they're not talking about that country specifically here, but it's all connected in some way, shape, or form. So seeing events like this start to escalate over there is probably going to happen, and that's just my inkling, my gut that tells me to watch this. We'll see more, especially over the next 30 to 40 days.
The theory is that, well, everybody is looking at the Bear, everybody is looking at the U.S. and Europe and NATO, that the middle E just boom, something goes off, and those two go at it, and it starts the big one. So we're paying attention very closely. Both of us are checking outside with a VPN, checking outside of all of the country's news and trying to find out what everybody is saying. We even go over and check out, what Xi is saying, what Vlad is saying, what Netanyahu and all of these other folks are saying. Bible Talks 777 says, we are going to have to agree on a price for you to make me an album with your talent to praise Jesus, plus a few of your own freestyles. Love it, bro. People like my music, and when people clown on it or make fun of it, I just think it's so funny because it is a literal looper, and it's basically the only thing I added was a little simple sound machine to do some of the sounds, and I just think it's funny because it's looping, and it was because we were getting copyrighted on everything, even when we were paying for the services that YouTubers, they always talk about these things. What was it called? Music Bed. Every single show was getting hit with a copyright, even though we were paying a monthly fee for the services. It was just stupid. We had to email them every single day. And if it gets copyrighted, then it slows down the process of it for the first 10 hours until they look at it and rescan it and whatever else. And that's on top of still not getting suitable for advertisers. So it's like you're getting stopped and not suitable because of these music things. And it was just insane. So that's why I make the music in the first place. And the main part, even the shoutro in the beginning, was just other music beats and saying thank you to everybody. That was the original shoutro, was just saying thank you to everybody in the audience, because you guys are what makes it matter. That person asked for advice yesterday about how, they just started a channel. My best advice is don't look at your audience as a number. Look at them as people. I've said this a million times. Every single person there, if I was in front of 10 people or 10,000, it doesn't matter. I was super excited when I had 10 people watching live. If you've been there long enough, Kenneth H is my 5th subscriber. He's still around. He doesn't pop in much anymore, but there's a few people that were in my top 100, and they remember me streaming to 4 people on YouTube, not like DLive. Like DLive, a lot of people are streaming to 1 person, 5 people, but you're on that main page. This was on YouTube with nobody watching and no way to get out to anybody. It's sheer consistency and a fluke that we got any exposure at all in titles, and that was before 3 adpocalypses. So new channels have very little chance unless they're covering camera reviews and they accidentally hit the right title at the right time with Google's algorithm. So it's kind of a bleak scenario with new tubers, I would say. So I just think it's funny. The music is a goofy way to avoid that, and I thank you guys that do appreciate it. And then I wanted to show this. In fact, I don't know if my sister is still here. My sister's been helping out with everything with my kids and stuff while I work. I have been having to do a lot as well. As you guys know, we've had a really hard time with our son, who just recently basically they're saying that they believe he may be autistic. He has been a whole big handful, and then our 2-year-old, and I have had my health issues. So I've been better, but I've been in the hospital several times this year. So it's been nice to have my sister here helping us. And but she put together this thing, and it's just absolutely kind of mind-blowing. Do you remember the picture of Vlad with his shirt off on the horse? And there's other things too here. Dex, you actually found another piece. Did you add that in there about the pets of diplomacy and how these elites kind of gift horses and thoroughbred horses to each other and all this weird stuff?
No, but I can give you a couple links on it if you want to go.
It's fine. So mainly,
yeah, but it was, I think one of them was the coat of arms of the Bear Country's got a horse on it. And then we've seen NK's leader, Kim, obviously on a horse, right? And then Macron gave a horse to Xi. And then that was the backstory. But then you go with the rest of this. So
one thing is, first of all, so this painting was bathing a red horse, and it was 2 years before WW1 started. The artist is a famous Moscow artist. And what's weird is it was supposed to be a hymn or a ode to Apollo. Now, I think later on, I think of the asteroid Apollo, right? Is it? No. Is it? No, it's not Apollo, is it? No, that's Apophis. But Apollo is the certain god here. So look at this. It says basically how they described it was the most important part. It said a renewal. Let's see where it is here. It says a renewal of humanity and replenishment and a revitalization of humanity. And let's see here. Why won't it show me the rest? Oh, it's because of that. So essentially it talks about how this was kind of like a washing of humanity, right? And the first thing that came to mind was Vladimir riding that horse shirtless, and it was like trying to kind of, I don't know, be.
And he was going to bathe too, by the way. It wasn't
Yes.
just he was on a horse. He was going to bathe in the ice water.
I can't see the part. It says, and it has some significance. And there was a lot of things that she ended up pointing out, and I was just like going, holy moly. But he's into this kind of stuff. We know this because he has said a lot of this stuff, and he's very into not only everything, Russia, but he is into the spiritual side of this stuff. He is into he named his yacht Poseidon. He's into these ancient myths. He's into this kind of stuff, and he has talked about it at length. So I just thought it was really weird. Like, he thinks he is Apollo, or he thinks he is the person that's going to bring in this revitalization of the country. There was a statement that basically simulated that he was going to be he was going to bring back the USSR, or he was going to be the person who does that. At the same time, there's chatter and rumors that he may have some sort of terminal cancer, that he's trying to do things at a breakneck speed because of that. I don't know if that is true, but that is coming from multiple people. And in fact, the guy who said it in Russia is getting arrested or questioned or whatever else. So I just thought this was interesting. I attached all the information on the website so you guys can go see this and see if you find anything interesting. I also saw that Macron ended up gifting a thoroughbred horse. There's all these weird things about all of the different countries, the pets of diplomacy. Dex, if you can attach that piece, I thought that was very interesting as well. But that's why I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about this weird wages thing that with the sun looking like a galloping horse. That was just a trip. And then before we go over to web, make sure to go over and check this out. So if you have not seen a solar generator before, or if you've seen the ones that are just a box, this is a whole lot different. Energy is one of the most sought after generators out there, and there's a reason why. This is one of the most flexible systems out there, and this is something we're recommending because I think that if folks have power after all of this stuff, if it does go down, then this will potentially save lives, but not only that, save a whole lot of convenience as well. If you just have a storm and your power is out for 5 days, something like this comes in clutch like no other. This is a solar generator, so not only can you keep it charged up by plugging it into the wall or plugging it into your truck or your car, you can also hook up solar panels to it. The coolest part about this is it's so smart that it understands what you are plugging into it, and you can actually plug multiple things into it. So you can be charging it and then charge it twice as fast by plugging in the solar panels at the same time, or plug it into the car. You were plugging into all of them. Normally, you would have to take it out, make sure that you are plugging into this or plugging into that. Also, this is expandable. This is a solar generator that is actually made so you can expand it up to 96 batteries. Whereas some of the brands out there, you are stuck with whatever came in it, and then when that battery eventually degrades, you're stuck with a huge paperweight essentially, or a doorstop, because eventually over time, this isn't like a NiCad or the other ones that really degrade faster, have the battery memory. But they are lithium batteries. So eventually down the road, much down the road, when you need a new battery, you just get a new battery, or you can buy 2, buy 3, buy 4, however much power you want as far as how long this thing lasts. You can do that. And if you want to charge it faster, there's mods that actually go in between the unit and the battery, or anywhere on. You can put it on the bottom, top, whatever you want to put it, and it will charge twice as fast. You can plug in 3 times the amount of solar panels. There's all sorts of mods. And also, this thing is absolutely silent. It is now running my entire studio. We have the solar panels hooked up, and essentially everything here is not going off of my power bill. So it's pretty amazing. I think that it's one of the most amazing systems out there, and it's portable. So you can't beat that. All of my music gear, all of my lights, and everything is running off of this Energy Flex 1500. Both of my power bars and, of course, all my lights. So, amazing system. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy. Go check out all of the different gadgets. I highly recommend the foldable, portable solar panels that you can take camping with you. You can just plop them in the truck, or if you have to bug out, you can do that as well. Again, marfooglenews.com/energy with an I. Energy with an I. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle. That way we get credit for it. We will end up, you'll end up telling them what we sent you. That helps us out financially, and that, of course, helps us run the show. We are talking about controversial subjects that are not always suitable for advertisers. So thank you, and again, thank you for understanding why we do this. All right, and then Dex, I don't think I missed anything. I know that we added the missile row. Okay.
Yep.
So where did I put this here? So let's see. Let's just open this up. Okay. So Missile Row is coming back to life. This is a piece that came out, and it says Missile Row pads at Cape Canaveral returning to action. Now, there's many ways you could look at this. You could say that more private companies, in this case, it is Firefly, is using 2 more of the pods that have basically been a ghost town for years. As anybody that's older that's by Cape Canaveral knows, that this used to be an active, bustling scene. But since a lot of these ended up kind of shutting down, these launch pads have gone largely unused. In fact, most of them have been in actual ghost town. But they're coming back to life. Why? Is something going on, and are we going to see all of these come back to life by private companies trying to ship elites to space? It is my personal feeling, and if people don't believe my opinion of things, then that's fine. But from everything and everyone I've talked to, I believe they know something is coming, and I believe on top of everything else, WW3 and everything else, I also believe that they have found an asteroid that is going to hit. And I know a lot of people say, well, it doesn't say that in the data. I think anything can be altered. I think anything can be hidden. I think anything can be changed last moment. Just like recently they said, Apophis, originally they found that it was going to hit. And then they're like, after looking at more data and finding this new data from over here, it's not going to hit anymore in 2029. And it just so happens that Elon and all these other companies are just out of nowhere buying up rockets like there's no tomorrow, literally. And everyone is trying to go to the moon. Everyone is trying to go to Mars. Everyone is trying to get off Earth. I don't know. I have, it's in my heart and it's in my mind that something is going to happen. That something was spotted and the data showed it was going to hit Earth. And that's my belief. And that's what I go by. And I'm sure that fits into a ton of what is said in the Bible, wormwood and everything else. Everything is happening. The trumpets are being blown. That is my thoughts. I don't feel I'm crazy because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that think this as well, and I think they're afraid to say it. They're afraid of being ridiculed or people saying that they're being scared of nothing or this or that. I don't really care at this point. I think we're close to the end. My family thinks that we're close to the end, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. If you're not only physically ready, but spiritually ready, I think it quite potentially could be a good thing. Not the best thing. Nobody really wants to see it, but again, that might be the case. So I'm going to be following this and see if all of these pods in the next year or two just all of a sudden get activated. How fast Elon is making these rockets. They're talking about, doing space hotels. Are they space hotels or are they space escape pods? Who knows? Don't know. I have a weird feeling about it, though. And then, of course, all of the DART mission, Don't Look Up. And you think Don't Look Up, oh, it's a fictional movie. The guy, they picked the director that normally does movies based on real events. And he says, based on real events that haven't happened, ... yet. Just creeps me out. And then basing that president on T-Man, and then during T-Man's administration, the Sunspot Observatory had SWAT teams and BlackRock helicopters coming in and taking over a whole observatory, closing down 6 other observatories, all because a guy had some stuff on his computer. And then they closed the local post office too, and closed down the whole neighborhood because there was one gentleman who had some stuff on his hard drive. That's the story, at least. I don't buy it. I think they were worried about something getting out or getting sent out, like a hard drive or a disk being sent in the regular mail to somebody, like, hey, this is huge. This is the biggest thing we've ever discovered. And then what if in Don't Look Up, maybe that was Deep Impact, where the guy goes off the cliff. Maybe it's a scenario like that. Like that's representative of the government coming in and destroying the information before anybody can know. Either way, make sure to follow us tomorrow night. We're going to be back. Tyler from Secure Team reached out again. I don't know if he's going to come on or not. I asked him if he would come on Friday. I don't know if he will, but we'll see. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Love to have him contact us and talk to us about UFOs or whatever else. It would be a full kind of round circle thing. He mentioned my video in the very, very beginning. It would be cool to talk to him now. Anyways, he did get back to me on that, and I know you guys were expecting that months and months ago. I won't make a big deal out of it. If he doesn't come on, he doesn't. If he does, if he has the time, then we'll talk to him about it. Otherwise, I love you guys and appreciate it, everybody. Sue Speaks, thank you for your support. Irish Rebel, Kiwi Lass, and then Dex. Let's go over the web-only content, and then we'll be shutting down here.
Absolutely. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open that show notes link right there in the description on YouTube, and you can get to the rest of the story. Lots of things going on. I would definitely go take a look at what Gates had to say today. And now that is the congressman from Florida, and specifically what he was talking about related to a laptop that's going to be entered into record potentially. More on that laptop is in the news too. There's some new fines going out against some of the campaign-ish stuff that went on in the past. Go check it out. There's plenty. There's lots. Everything else we can't talk about. Too hot for TV. Too far to one side. Too political. It's there. marfooglenews.com, or open that description on YouTube and click on show notes.
And by the way, there was a piece here that was not on the show, the aliens abducting people before the Earth. Make sure to go check that out. Thank you, everybody. Lots of great stuff over there. A whole nother show, marfooglenews.com. All of our sources and everything else. Thank you. Much love. And praying for everybody out there that may be hurting. Praying for Pops. Praying for Gone Girl 777. Praying for Susan Donahue. Praying for everybody out there that may be hurting or is just out there doing their own thing. And we miss you, and we'll be here for you when you get back. All right. Love you guys. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out.
Look up on the sky.
It's time for the shoutro, not an outro, not a shout out, but a shoutro.
Look up on the sky. Look up on the sky. Look up on the sky. patrolling. Hey, Bible talk, everybody on a coiling. Big real bees in a lean on a rush nut. Everybody gotta go be cautious. We the friends in the family. Everybody Stanley, clad in everybody mad at Mr. Big Bad. Hey, Jake Albergotti, everybody naughty. According to the sins of the Gotti. Hey, Lori, thanks for support. Even though you didn't have to now according to the news, I gotta go do everything that we got to go do. Hey, love you all. Hi, Susan, Donnie, you and Gone Girl. Hey, bring it right back in the big world. I'll send you on the Taylor and the Eddie on the Leon on the Jones and to bring it back and now and no pick up on with the wrong in the steel. Connie on the nail, the J Lee, everybody feel. Hey, yeah. New layout. Sean Clyde, 92,000 in the selfie. Era in the zippy moons. Paul Nelson and the breakdown. Kilroy was here. And the Gulf Harbor girl, seeker of truth. Everybody no fear. Trucker JP, Sparky Brown, Phil, Bill, E.I.O.9. We the squeak dog, Weezer, or Rizza, everybody Tita. On the end of the world, west, so the west, conquest, Josh, everybody is the best, so the best with the Antifa Weefa. Una, Antifa Torres, Anita Torres, Ha, Sora, Megasaurus, Ha, or maybe Juarez. Couldn't guess that the other night on the other side of El Paso, Conquest, Josh, Mindy's in the mom. Hey, rack down like Mr. Uncle Tom. Over on the D-Life, Andrea V-Life, we live on the Queen Life. Some people wish I would just
stop.
Look up on the sky. Look up on the sky.
Sean Samuels. Top knit sewer. Oh, gotta go through CJ Blaze, Leah J Stone, all in a row. Look at that. 3 wonderful mods right there in a row. Eric Thomas, Fade Away, Bobby of Joy, Deep State of Mind. Everybody, thank you so much. Rebish Iril. Rebish Iril? That's like a rubbish eye roll. Irish Rebel.
Stop.
Irish rebel. 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 Irish rebel.
Venetia, Patesia, I see you. Big shout out to Kenneth H., one of my first subscribers ever.